Alright everyone, so I'm going to show you guys how to add the values. This video is actually going to show you both. So starting with our paper, make sure you have all of your colors. But remember, we're only going to be picking 3 colors. So I went ahead and I picked a purple. It's kind of hard to see it. I picked a blue purple. And of course, the blue. My 3 colors. Remember, on the color wheel, these are the colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. That's how we know that they're analogous colors. Okay? So just so we can kind of see, I went ahead and I colored just what the colors would look like. So that way I can see them side by side and I can see which one's lighter, which one's darker. So I actually ended up coloring them in the wrong order. So I went ahead and I just put my blue down here at the bottom so that way I could see the order of them. So I've got the purple, the blue purple, and then of course the blue. Alright, so when we're working with analogous colors, we actually want to work with our lightest color first. Okay? And then we'll just like gradually work through our colors. So you're going to take your lightest color and you're going to color your stripes in like a color, non-color pattern. So I just kind of randomly picked a stripe and I just started coloring it. So it just depends on which one you want it to have colored, which one you don't want it to have colored. But my video is sped up. It is double speed, so don't think that I'm like magically coloring these stripes. Take your time, color your stripes nicely. Notice that a lot of my coloring, while I'm coloring, it's in the same direction. I'm coloring straight up and down throughout the whole entire stripe. Keep in mind too, especially when you're coloring with crayons and colored pencils, that the direction that you color also creates a different value, okay, because we're working with values. And so when we start to have colors that, even when it's its own color, when we have these colors that overlap because the direction of coloring is changing, it changes the value of our color. So here I kind of got a little messy, and you can kind of notice, you can see I've got some little dark spots there, and that's what ends up happening when you change direction. Okay, and so what I decided to do in this video is on half of my paper I was going to do the 3 colors, and then on the other half I was going to do just the 1 color. And so when we work with 1 color and we try to show value, it just depends on our pressure. And so closer to the front of your crayon will make your pressure harder and it'll end up making it darker. And then farther to the back of your crayon will give you less pressure and make your crayon color lighter. So we're going to start off by coloring along the edge of our vertical lines. So we want to put a little bit more pressure than what we did when we colored the stripes to begin with. Remember, if you color too dark, you're going to have to try and erase it or try to color in a different direction to make it even darker. Because we want the edges of these vertical stripes to appear darker. And as we come towards the center of our column, we want it to appear lighter. So that way it gives that illusion that it's going away from us or closer to us. And so I have a tendency to feel more comfortable coloring from left to right. So when I color, I flip my paper upside down. So that way I'm always coloring from left to right. And one of the benefits of doing that also is because you see what's on the left side. If you're coloring from right to left, your crayon or your hand ends up covering up what it is that you're trying to color, and you don't end up being able to see the actual values that you're creating. So here I kind of slowed it down so you could see how I'm coloring my second layer. I'm not just going straight up and down, I'm actually coloring in like a circular motion. Not too circular, you're not drawing actual circles, but doing that circular motion helps create less of an end of your crayon's mark. So if we color straight up and down, when we stop to change directions, the pressure actually changes. and it creates like a darker spot. And so to avoid that, don't color straight up and down, color in like a circular motion, so that way you keep that constant same pressure. Okay, and so here I'm kind of just telling you that when you go to the next column, you don't want to color it, you want to wait on that one because that's the direction that's different. And so you're going to hop to the third column and you're just going to color the same thing. So you're going to be coloring just along that edge and then coloring inwards towards the center of your column, so that way it appears like that's the darkest section, the darkest spot. Okay, and so I just pushed my crayons away because they were getting in my way, and I decided that I'd cover up this side so we could just focus on the one. Now remember, since we're working with just one single color, this is what we call monochromatic, okay? And we break down this word monochromatic. Mono on its own means one, and chromatic means color. So basically the word in itself is one color. So we're gonna move on to this next column here. We don't want to do it as dark as the other ones because this is the section that goes up, so it appears like it's moving upwards. So we're going to hold closer towards the edge of our crayon, and we're going to just lightly add another layer on top to make it a little bit darker. Not as dark, just a little bit darker. And again, same thing, coloring along the vertical line and moving inwards towards the center of your column. Okay, and again, I flip my paper over. I like to do it that way. It makes it easier for me so that I could see what it is I'm coloring. Again, coloring along that vertical line, coloring inwards lightly, not so hard of a pressure, so that way we don't add too much darkness. We don't want too much darkness because this one is coming up from our paper, whereas the other two columns are coming down. And so I just went back and I just added an even darker part along this vertical line just to give it a little bit of an extra darkness. And it kind of does help. It kind of gives it a little bit more. And so again, this is our one color. So now we're going to add the light pressure along the edges here so that these white stripes appear to have a value as well. Remember, we don't want to use gray, or we don't want to use black, and we don't want to use our pencil. We want to use the crayon of the same color because it's one single color. So super light pressure. You're again just drawing along, coloring along the edge of that vertical line, pulling that color in. You don't even have to pull as much color in because the white technically doesn't have as much of a value because it doesn't have a color, but it just gives it that little extra to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. You can't really see me adding color because I'm coloring so lightly, but I mean there is color being added, so you can kind of sort of see it starting to appear. It's starting to look three-dimensional, giving you that illusion that it's kind of like a wave of cloth, like a bumpy cloth, and that's okay. And so you'll learn to see, like as you start coloring and you start shading things in with your colors, where you need more value and where you don't need more value. And so here again, because this is the piece that bumps up, we don't want as much pressure again. So even less pressure than before. Again, coloring along the edge of that vertical line, up and down, holding it at the end of the crayon. Now we can kind of start to see how it's starting to take its form and take its dimension. So remember, the pieces that go down, that look like they're curving down, you can even go in and you can add a little bit of an extra. So here I'm just kind of adding a little bit of an extra so that way that darkness is even more visible. So I came over here to the analogous color side with my 3 colors, and I'm labeling them here along the parts that I tested it out. So I got my lightest color first, my medium color second, and then my darkest color third. And so again, like I said, this is what we call our analogous colors. And so that word analogous actually just means to be related or to be similar. Okay, I know it's hard to read my writing. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that the crayons weren't as visible. But basically, when we have colors that are related or similar, it's easier to remember it as family colors, colors of family. Okay, because they're related, they help make each other, and that's what makes them related and similar to one another. And they're next to each other on the color wheel. So when we work with analogous colors with our family of colors, we have to work with the second darkest color next. So just like we added that darkness along that vertical line, we're going to do the same thing but with our medium color. So the second color, not the lightest, not the darkest, but the medium color. So again, just coloring vertically along that vertical line, up and down with medium pressure. You don't want to go too dark, because then you don't really see that original color anymore. Basically, all this dark color is doing is creating that extra boost. And you'll start to see already, it's already starting to look as if it's 3-dimensional, and we've only added 1 color. So again, I flipped my paper over so I could color from side to side. Okay, remember, left to right is easier to color. And I accidentally started to move outside of my camera view, so I apologize for that. But it's basically the same process, just coloring up and down vertically along your lines, so that way you can add in those values, add in that darkness. Be careful when you color along the edges of your paper, especially if your paper is not taped down and you have like a fast, heavy hand, that it ends up pulling and ripping or bending or creasing your paper. You can hold it down if you need to. You can tape it down with masking tape. Don't use Scotch tape because it'll rip your paper. Okay, so this is what the values look like when you have just your 2 different colors. Okay, so we can already start to see that there's like an even bigger difference, even though we don't have all of our values, but we still need to do 3. So our third color, our darkest color, we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing, and we're going to add in some value along the edge of that vertical line. So now this dark color, because it's so much darker, you actually don't need as much shading. So however much you shaded with your second color, your medium color, you basically only have to go about halfway. But keep in mind that when you are shading, when you're adding these values, you don't want to see a separation of your colors. You don't want to see like a box. You want it to kind of appear as if it's a gradual change. Remember, value is the gradual change from white to black. And so when we have the value of color, it's the gradual change of that lightest version of the color to the darkest version of the color. Okay? Alright, so here I'm just talking about how with this third color we don't want to add that last bit where we color over the white spot, because the darkest color is too dark. I personally like to move back to that middle color and use the medium color. Always test your colors if you can't tell or see what they are from eyesight. And I like to use that medium color to actually add the values into the white stripes. And so again, just like before, you're just simply lightly coloring in or shading in with your color all the way across, all the way over. Notice I'm not stopping in the middle of my white, and I'm not using less pressure or more pressure. I'm kind of keeping it even. In fact, when you color like this, when you're trying to get a super light shade, all you have to do is rotate your wrist. And so if your fingers are moving, then you're putting too much pressure. If you're rotating your wrist, then all that's really happening is the pressure in your fingers is staying the same, and your wrist is actually what's coloring the paper. To go even lighter than that, move it back towards your elbow. And so you'll tend to see like it doesn't even look like I'm coloring anything, but I actually am. And when I'm not, when that happens, it's actually because I'm using my wrist. And when I go from one end of the paper to the other end of the paper, that's when I'm actually using my elbow. Okay? So when it gets really fast, it's because I'm using my elbow. And then when it starts to slow down, that's when I start to use my fingers. And so here I'm using my elbow. The whole entire bottom half of my arm is just flying across that paper. Okay, and so here's what it looks like with the 3 colors, the analogous colors. Okay, and it looks actually pretty good. Now next to our monochromatic colors, which is the 1 color, here's our difference. Okay, so they both look 3-dimensional. They both work. Monochromatic, 1 color, darkness and lightness of the 1 color, and of course analogous, family of colors, colors that are similar or related to one another. So I mean, the color might change a little bit, it'll look a little bit more purple, but I think that the effect still works the same. Okay, so again, monochromatic is 1 color,